Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Today, we are exploring the world of Marianne Williamson. As a spiritual teacher and spiritual author, I thought she might be an interesting person to look at because she's run for president, she's run for some other political positions, and it hasn't just been a joke, or it hasn't been some drive to convert everybody to her religion. She's been very serious about that, which has put her into a different place than your normal guru and spiritual teacher. So I thought we'd check her out today. I really don't know that much about her other than she was really big into The Secret or the law of attraction and things like that, and that she's been around for a while. I've watched a couple of her political talks, actually some interviews while she was campaigning for president, and I wasn't um, overwhelmingly impressed. uh, but I have randomly chosen a few videos today, and so I thought for the next hour, we just see what she has to say. So before we get into that, this video is part of my Gurus Debunked series. And let me explain to you what this series is for any of you who are coming to this new. Before I go there, let me just check the volume on this. All right, things look good for me. Hopefully it looks good for you. Or I should say, hopefully it sounds good for you. So this series is about essentially investigating what gurus say that attracts people to them. Like now, we look back at Jim Jones and you go, that guy was a Looney Tune. Charles Manson, whoa, back off. But yet, before it was revealed how crazy they were, people heard things from them and were attracted to them. What did they hear? What did these people say that would cause the Gabbard family to move to Hawaii and follow Chris Baker? That would cause an actress from TV to tell others to brand women. What did they say that was so alluring? And that's what I like to do here is to just take these gurus, not really worry about their careers, their legacies, their biographies, but just take their words and listen to them and then respond back to them. Now, sometimes that means debunking them, just going, whoa, this person is speaking gibberish, which is what I basically said for John DeRuiter. It makes no sense. I believe for that one, I actually read something I transcribed from him. It made no sense. Other times, it's listening to somebody and going, well, this is actually really interesting. So we're not debunking them. We're actually realizing that they're not a bad teacher at all. I never know which way we're going to go. So I don't have one series that's spiritual gurus that are great and spiritual gurus debunked. The goal is just to listen to everybody. And I'm really not here to necessarily debunk them. I'm here to listen to them. I've been shocked a few times. When I did my video on Jim Jones, it was actually shocking about some of the things he said, which were actually really cool. It was like, oh, I totally understand it. So it's just learning and exploring together. And I'm coming from my background in Sanatana Dharma, Hinduism, and respond to them that way. There have been times where I've responded to something and I think I may have been wrong because they just had a different perspective and it was in my little world and I just wasn't aware of that. This is just my opinion. Doesn't even mean that they're necessarily a bad guru. Maybe I watch a video and I just kind of go, ooh, they still may be a good guru. That's all this is. One more thought, though, is these aren't all necessarily gurus that I'm responding to. They may just be a yoga teacher or a spiritual teacher or an author. For me, there is a difference between a spiritual author and a yoga teacher and a guru. I did a video on Krishna Prem, who I see as a yoga teacher, not a guru. I do not see Marianne Williamson as a guru. I see her as a spiritual teacher, an endorser of spiritual things, a spiritual author. For me, a guru belays some sense of a hierarchy, some sense of control, some sense of an organization, and it's more than just someone picking up your book and going, "Oh, wow, I really like your book. I'm going to have you sign it." it's someone who's actually telling you way beyond that book. Like, oh, you like my book? Well, let's discuss your family situation. And by the way, you need to give me money. And by the way, you need to do this and you need this. Does that make sense? It's a fine line. And I think we use the word guru way too often. Sort of like when you take karate, everybody's a sensei. When I was in Japan for 3 years, I was a teacher. They called me sensei. Everyone's a sensei. It's like it loses some of the power of it. And so I think we use the word guru way too much. Anyone is a guru. Someone on YouTube could be spouting gibberish, and they have 1,000 people subscribed to their channel. They're a guru. We need to pull back a little bit and make divisions. So that's where I stand on that. But to say the guru debunked spiritual teachers, spiritual authors, etc., would make this a very long title. So the debunked series is just a simple title, but I'm looking at a big picture. Check out the series on my playlist on YouTube for all the gurus that I've done. I usually do one of these videos every couple months. And so today we're going to go into one of our more interesting ones. So without any hesitancy anymore, any more of this introduction, let's dive in. I've got an array of videos that I randomly chose and pulled off of YouTube simply based on the title of the video that I thought that would make an interesting view. That's it. I also like to give variety. So we're going to be watching, I think I have 6 videos today. Most of them are fairly short. I like to watch a lot of stuff. I feel it's better than just sitting for 1 hour and watching one talk. I'd rather watch 5 different talks from 5 different places and periods in time. I think that really gives a better overview of a teacher. I haven't always been able to do that because I haven't always found shorter talks, but that's my goal. So we're going to listen to a bunch of talks, and then we're actually going to end on one that's 25 minutes long. And yeah, that's it. I have no idea what we're about to watch, but here's my face. There's her face. And let's dive in. If you're watching this live on YouTube, the chat window is open. Doesn't necessarily mean that I'm reading your chats. I will pause as needed to respond, or maybe I'll just wait a bit. So if I don't respond to your chat, this isn't a chat show. The window's just there. It's not personal. I'll get to you at some point. So yeah, with that, let's dive into Miss Marianne Williamson. Here we go.
Sometimes people say to me that it's because of their spiritual journey that they don't want to engage in politics. People will say, well, politics is so toxic and it's so mean-spirited and it's so negative. And on a spiritual journey, that's everything that we're trying to get away from.
So as always, I stop and start these things and comment as she speaks.
Of their
And hopefully the volume is good on her voice. On your side, I apologize if it moves back and forth a little bit. So I like what she just said, that politics is everything negative, and in spirituality, those negative things are what we try to get away from. Though, as I have said before, it is actually the negative things which help us grow as a person and keep us in touch and grounded in the world. Quite honestly, if you go around happy and whatever, I think you sometimes lose some perspective on things. Uh, and it covers up other issues. Negativity forces you to face issues. And people who I believe absolutely don't want to be involved in politics because it isn't religion, well, I think politics can have a huge effect on your religion. Thank God in this country we have a constitution, but in other countries your vote may matter and it could very much affect you. England right now, where they pass laws so you can't pray in public. That affects your religion. So to separate them, I don't think is good. But let's see what she says.
But there is a conundrum there because what we don't engage, we can't transform. And it's only a counterfeit notion of enlightenment that would ever give us a pass on addressing human suffering. Because The spiritual journey is a journey of the heart. That can't just be talk. You can't talk about a journey to the heart and turn away from a starving child. You can't talk about a journey to the heart and turn away from the immense amounts of unnecessary human suffering.
I'm going to pause right here. This is a great point that she's saying, but I find it interesting that she opens up saying politics, but yet she's giving an example of a starving child. I don't know if that's exactly how we all define politics as dealing with starving children. Politics is putting in new roads, it's welfare, it's immigration. So it's kind of interesting that the examples she gave actually went into a different area, which is more a discussion of ethics, which overlaps with politics, but it's not the same. Just a point of contention.
That exist on this planet. So, for those of us who are on a spiritual journey, there is some very deep questioning that I believe calls to us. And what's interesting is that if you look at Martin Luther King and you look at Mahatma Gandhi, this is not a wheel we have to reinvent. This has already been done. There have already been those on the planet, in fact, the two greatest political lights of the 20th century.
N- Interesting, those would be the example of her political activists. As a point of contention, also, she seems to have just abandoned a little bit of the, I don't know, she's taken her question in a different direction. Many people in India would say that Gandhi is not one of the greatest. Quite the opposite, that he is a mass murderer. But that is for another episode.
Both Gandhi and Martin Luther King, who then traveled to India, studied the principles of nonviolence, and brought them to the United States to apply them to the struggle for civil rights in the United States during the 1960s. And what King said of Gandhi is that he was the first person in history to take the love ethic,
Again, many people consider Gandhi to be a mass murderer and selfish and not at all full of love, and a person whose effects on India still stand to this day that were destructive. So Gandhi is such a interesting person to bring up as an example. I really think, though, the average American considers him to be one of the greatest ever. You had Mother Teresa, who many people traditionally used to hold up. Martin Luther King, definitely we hold up. And then Gandhi is light years above them. It's an American perspective, but I don't think it's necessarily an honest one. And she's now going into a territory of love and whatever. I don't know. Okay. I seem to have issues right out the window.
and to turn it into a broad scale social force for good, that he lifted love above and beyond mere personal interaction. We know what love does in personal relationships. We know what love does to heal our own personal lives. But what Gandhi and King did was that they saw love as a force, what they called nonviolence.
I'm sorry. Her original point, and I'm actually going to backtrack just in case I didn't remember. I have to backtrack.
Sometimes people say to me that it's because of their spiritual journey that they don't want to engage in politics.
Okay, so we're talking about spiritual journey and politics, yet we're now talking about love. I don't believe we've dealt with the first issue of spiritual journey and politics. Yes, love is related to a spiritual journey, but not necessarily. I can be an atheist and still love. I can be on a spiritual journey and be an absolute narcissist who seems to not know anything about love. And the assumption that love and religion go together is actually fairly naive. But she's just gone there without answering her initial premise, or she's just jumping to assumptions that many of us have because they feel good. Oh, religion equals love, and love is God, and this and whatever. But it's actually not that clear. So I'm 1 minute and a few seconds in and disappointed by what she's saying is not really a coherent argument. It's really an ethical argument, not a political religions argument. And the thing is, well, you have religion and politics. People don't always want to. overlap, but then there's love and you should love. These are two separate conversations.
King did was that they saw love as a force, what they called nonviolence, inside the heart of every man, woman, and child, as a force that would heal political and social relationships as well.
Now we're getting into social relationships. We're still off the basis. We've moved beyond that. I just feel it hasn't been a coherent thought. I apologize. Um, let's see if she gets back to it.
This was profound, and it was profoundly successful. You know, when people talk about how this love stuff
That's the creation of Pakistan. She's saying that was a profoundly successful outcome of Gandhi's love, the creation of Pakistan and the murders that go on to this day. That happened because of him. It may not have happened if he hadn't been around. So she's saying people who get killed in Pakistan, like Hindus, that's due to the love of Gandhi.
is kind of naive.
That's
Like the idea that we could actually live like brothers on this planet is just some naive pipe dream. Well, I believe that what's naive is to think that the human race will survive for another 100 years if we do not find a way to live like brothers on this planet.
well, we've survived for thousands and thousands without living like brothers. I think 100 is nothing. I think we will survive for another 100 years.
So there is more than a moral imperative that stands in front of us. This option of trying to take a stand for another possibility, to take a stand for the reordering of human civilization, away from a place where economics is our bottom line.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. We still haven't answered the initial question of people who are religious and political. We've now gone from love to now reordering society. I guess along lines of a love society, of Gandhi's love society. So we're going to make more Pakistans where people kill each other or whatever, because we only have 100 years. Where's AOC? Where's AOC? She was wrong. It's 100 years. Wow. We're 2 minutes, 44 seconds in, and we've now gone to yet another topic. These are all really good ethical ideas that could be well developed on their own, but she has just gone from literally religion and politics to now reordering society. Wow. What a random thought process. I have to confess that the political interviews I saw with her, every single one, I didn't watch many, but every single one that I saw, maybe three or four, all consisted of her going on a thought process that went all over the place. She'd be asked a question and she'd just be like, no idea. She couldn't explain what she said. It was just more tangents. And it's just feel good stuff. And then you can listen to this and go, oh, well, that feels so good, a society based on it. But if your premise is a question and you're not answering the question except saying that we need to reorder society, no matter how much it feels good, well, you're not you're not following your conversation. Take your feelings out of it and follow the conversation.
To humanitarian values being our bottom line, to take a stand for this as an actual possibility, and to be very serious about it and to be very savvy about it. I don't believe it's a pipe dream. I do believe it's a moral imperative. But most importantly, I believe it is the only survivable option for the human race.
So disappointed. Yep, nope. Let's see what's next.
You know, a lot of my work is about how we should love one another and forgive one another and not attack one another. And it's difficult sometimes to hold that in the space of fury at Donald Trump and others. First of all, moral outrage is not born of anger, it's born of love.
So as we get into the second one, we see a point continuing here on love. Um, so I think we're beginning to see some of her theology now develop, which is why I like multiple videos. Uh, you can tell that these are recent videos that I chose. Literally, they were just pretty random with the mention of Trump.
So I started praying for Donald Trump and asking to, see his innocence as a human being.
Did you pray for liberals who go around attacking people in the streets? Did you pray for liberals who burned down Minneapolis? Did you pray for the innocence to be shown of liberals who burned down Portland? Probably not. You just prayed for Trump to show his innocence. The political bias here is TDS is alive and well. Truly spiritual person would probably go, yes, I pray for Donald Trump. I think he's corrupt. But you know what? My side, I pray for them too. We got issues. I say this all the time on this show. Both sides have issues. And if you're only praying for one side, then you're lacking self awareness. And if you are lacking self awareness about your own team or yourself, your spiritual journey of love is incredibly narrow minded and shallow. And words more than actions. That's my feeling. Without without self awareness, you don't have much of a spiritual life. It's just a very shallow thing. It's virtue signaling.
Because behind that veneer of all the, you know, all the ways that we can all give these sophisticated analyses, many of which are legitimate, absolutely correct, about his personality. From a spiritual perspective, beyond all that, there is the innocent child of God lurking within. We've all been just, you know, heard the descriptions by Mary Trump and others about how he got that way and so forth. But what I found in my own experience was that the more I have done that internal work of seeking to forgive, the more I have realized.
So you mentioned child of God. I don't believe she's Christian. She's not Hindu. Certainly, I'm stepping outside of my box here with her. She is, for me, firmly a New Ager. And I always kind of laugh. It's like the New Age thing, but yet you're referencing child of God. But in order to reference the child of God, you really need to reference the Bible. But if you believe in the Bible, you're probably going to be Christian. So it becomes this cloudy path. So I honestly don't know what she's talking about when she says seeking the child of God with him. If you're not Christian, what's your reference point for child of God? What do you mean by that? I don't really know what you mean outside of the reference in the Bible, but your religion is not Christian, so technically you don't believe the Bible. This is a talking point that sounds so nice. Oh, you gotta live for the child of God. But when you dissect what she's saying, it's one step from gibberish. It actually has no meaning because I'm not sure where her meaning is coming from because she's citing something of a different religion that necessarily she doesn't believe, or maybe she does believe through some other avenue or something like what was it Neville Goddard believed in the Bible, but it was through a different perspective, and Mary Baker Eddy believed in the Bible, but through a different perspective, and Joseph Smith too. So it's a talking point that sounds so good, but when we dissect this, she's on the verge of gibberish talk, like John DeRuiter.
That if it had not been him, it would have been someone else. That as soon as we started making the businessman this idol in this society, the most perverse form of one would appear on the scene. This is a phenomenon that would not have arisen had we been more intentional and vigilant about the cultivation of justice, particularly economic justice.
Oh, so he is like some end times prediction of the great evil businessman that developed since the dawn of business. That makes no sense historically. So you're saying he's better than Henry Ford, who hated the Jews, and you're better than other people who uh, set up factories in China and take business away from America. We've had centuries of horrible businessmen. To call him the epitome of the development of the line of businessman, it just makes no historical sense at all and puts down anyone before him. I don't think he's worse than others. I think he's actually a rather typical businessman. And then she's saying we needed to be more vigilant to stop this with some social economic justice thing. What? What? So it's our fault we have businessmen who developed into like this antichrist? Is that what she's saying? We needed to have more justice. So more condemnation of people? Sounds like a Christian saying, society would be better if we only had justice against, homosexuals. So she's advocating a society in one video built on love, and in another one, it's our fault. We lacked love in a courtroom. That's what this sounds like for a guy who's not that evil compared to many evil people before him. Is that what I'm hearing?
as well as social justice in the United States.
Um,
Remember, FDR said we would not have to worry about a fascist takeover as long as democracy delivered on its promises.
which it is. It is delivering on its democracy. It's delivering on its promises because we haven't had a fascist takeover. But she's actually advocating rearranging society and creating a social justice form of governing, which sounds more like a fascist country than what she's complaining about. So she actually is promising a fascist country, but it would be based on love.
Democracy has not been delivering on its promises because we have not made sure that our economic system or our political system would really be bottom line focused on helping the majority of people thrive.
That's not what democracy does, woman. Making sure the bottom line is the majority of people thriving is not what a democracy is intended for. That's not actually, I think, the goal of any government form. So she doesn't understand what a democracy is about. Even Marx wrote under Marxism, there'd still be rich and poor and there'd be inequalities. Yeah, she doesn't understand. She doesn't understand sociology. And so, because poor people aren't thriving, our system's not a democracy. Well, in North Korea, all poor people are pretty equal. Most people are poor. They're all equal in poverty. So, is then North Korea a thriving democracy? She is. Uh, wow. I may have misinterpreted her, but it really feels like she doesn't understand what she's saying, hasn't thought about it, and doesn't understand the meaning of words.
If we had a democracy that was delivering on its promises, we would have universal health care by now.
No, we wouldn't. That universal health care has never been tied up in the concept of democracy. Who wrote about democracy? Was it in Wealth of Nations and other books? Universal health care you'll not find in Marx, I doubt. That is that is no more part of democracy than saying, well, if we had a democracy, condoms would be free and so would marijuana. No, she doesn't understand. She doesn't understand
We
democracy.
would have tuition-free college.
No, in a democracy, we would not have that. Again, has nothing to do with democracy. Oh my God, this woman is out there.
And tech school. We would not have spent the last 50 years transferring $50 trillion of wealth into the hands of a tiny, tiny few Americans.
So you want a fascist country where you prevent the transfer of wealth, essentially. The movement of $50 trillion into the handful of a minority is not because democracy has failed. It's because we have a democracy. So she actually doesn't want democracy, and she doesn't know what it is, and thinks it's failed. If we didn't have a democracy, would she even be able to make that video? Probably not.
To the point where you have to be wealthy in this country to have easy access to healthcare, easy access to higher education, and so forth. So we can, focus on the man who represents a lot of that, but he's just the tip of the spear. And we have to understand that that spear did not just come from other people. Anytime you
Yes, it
have
did.
large groups of desperate people, that petri dish will give rise to all manner of personal and societal dysfunction, which includes attraction
Yeah, this woman doesn't understand. Well, I'm glad she didn't win. I'm glad she has not won a political position. She is not equipped with the basics of society, government, political science.
into a political strongman and ideological capture by genuinely psychotic forces. So Just hating on him is so not the answer. What's going to win is providing for the American people a genuine alternative. America is too expensive for Americans, has been for a long time.
So let's have
Too much
fascism.
suffering in this country that has not gone addressed, has not gone tended to, really in the ways.
Well, we have soup kitchens that have been around since 1929. We no longer require children to work 10-hour days. We're highly regulated when it comes to children working. We have forces going against sex industry. We haven't allowed prostitution. We don't allow the mob to run cities anymore. Well, I don't think they, or not in the same way. We have women allowed to vote. We're working on gay rights issues. Yeah, actually, we've done really well. We have so many charities that are out there helping the poor. What she's saying is we need a government that helps the poor, provides for everybody, and we need a nanny state. So, what we need is a socialist, fascist nanny state that takes care of everybody and doesn't allow anyone to get wealthy. That's what she's advocating for. That's not democracy. We have a really well working democracy. Yeah. Wow.
That it needed to on either side of the aisle. I know all the excuses, but we should never have abided those excuses. Okay, so we can still know that this is not about personal attack or blame. The person whose complacency and behavior we need to atone for is our own.
So she should get a political science book then and learn.
And then we
Uh,
can start again.
we could start again. There's the key.
I
So
had an
we
experience many years ago in.
so two videos now have already said we need to start over, we need to start again. So she's basically advocating a complete change of society away from democracy into something like a full-on nanny state where people can't get rich. I wonder how much money she has. Okay, let's go in the next video. And it's an older one, we can see. So, yeah, okay. Wow. I thought this was going to be a little bit easier today.
Sacramento, California. And it reminded me of something that Mahatma Gandhi said when he said that politics should be sacred. Now, he did not mean religious. What did he mean? Well, there were a lot of people in my audience that night, and during the question and answer period, somebody brought up something about the subject of abortion. And if you want a big psychic rip in a room, if you want to feel tension in a room, have somebody bring up the topic of abortion. So I had, I think, an understandable impulse, which was, let's get off the topic as quickly as possible. And then I remembered why we were there. We were there to have a conversation that went deeper, a conversation that was healing. And in order to do that, topics have to be able to come up. We can't just suppress what's really going on. We have to be able, not only as individuals, but also collectively as a society, to have real conversations.
He's right about that. That I will agree with. This is what she should have said in the first video, but she lost the point.
Nuanced conversations about sometimes very painful things, but in which we honor everybody's voice. So this is what I said. I suggested that we say a prayer. I suggested that we go into 2 minutes of meditation. I realized, and everybody realized, that there were people in the room very staunchly abortion rights, pro-abortion rights, and there were people very staunchly what they call pro-life or anti-abortion rights. And I mentioned that God doesn't really need our opinion. God doesn't really need our press release. That we would be better off doing, as they say in the East, coming to God with an empty rice bowl, being as little children, emptying our minds and giving our minds that way to Spirit to fill. And that's what we did. We were quiet together in a meditative state.
So it's interesting. This is the first time she's really spoken about God. We're 9 minutes into her talking, or I don't know. I don't know how long these total amount of speeches have been so far. And I really have no idea what she believes. I was kind of aiming for some political talk to sorry. I was aiming for spiritual talk, not political talk today. And it seems like I haven't really hit on that. Either that or she's just a very much stereotypical new age person. I'm not really sure, but it strikes me as funny that I have yet to be able to figure out what she's really about spiritually. Maybe I just chose the wrong videos. I don't know.
for about 2 minutes, and we had surrendered our own opinions. Some of those opinions in all of us were passionate and strongly held, but we surrendered them for the sake of this experience. What happened after we came out of that meditative state was extraordinary. And a young man said to me the next day, he said, last night I felt like I was having an intimate conversation about abortion with 2,000 people in my.
So she's essentially saying that they needed to take everyone's opinion. They spent 2 minutes meditating and then didn't actually have a discussion. So is she saying they actually avoided the conversation, which is the opposite of what she was endorsing? They just meditated and that was the discussion? Okay, a little hypocritical if that's what she's explaining.
Living room. And I understood what he meant. Because the space created in the room was such that people spoke from such a deep level, both
Okay, so maybe she just skipped ahead in her story. So it looks like they did end up having a conversation.
about the real reasons why they feel so strongly that there should be legal abortion in the United States. And some people spoke from such a deep place.
So they spoke from a deep place after this meditation, and it seems like she's saying, well, because of the meditation, they spoke in a deep place. Otherwise, it would have been shallow without the meditation. That's what I'm feeling now. So I was wrong. She just moved ahead in the story, but it feels like she's taking credit for them having deep feelings. Maybe she should take credit for no one attacking them because everyone I know who's like abortion pro or against, most of them have really deep feelings and they're happy to discuss it. They just often don't because they're afraid of being attacked. So maybe she should take credit for not creating an environment where people are attacked, not that they actually spoke non-shallowly.
About why they passionately feel that there should not be legalized abortion in the United States. And what was very clear to everyone in that room was that both sides were heard by those who did not agree with them in ways that they had never been heard before. Now, it was interesting to me because usually when we think about abortion, we think, what's the answer? Is the answer that abortion be legal, or is the answer that abortion should not be legal? From a spiritual perspective, the answer is the answer with a capital A, the energy in the room that night. The space created when we all listened to each other
The capital A, it should be created, or is it means the answer is abortion? Or I missed that.
with honor and respect, and we could listen from our hearts and hear from our hearts.
So the answer is that we should listen to each other.
That is a field of new possibility. That is what Gandhi meant when he said politics should be sacred. That's when, not just individually but collectively,
Is that what he meant? I I'm I want to know. I want to see what we get. What did Gandhi mean when he said? So what she's saying is we should all talk and listen to each other. Um, basically, that's what she's saying, and that's what he meant. I just went into uh, the the Bing Copilot search, and I asked, what did Gandhi mean when he said politics should be sacred? And the reason I'm doing this is because what I know of Gandhi is based on a very different religious perspective and lots of different things. According to this, it says that his meaning for that is that politics should be guided by a universal ethical set of principles. Sorry, a universal ethical principles rather than power seeking or self interest. He believed it was inseparable from ethics, morality, and spiritual life. Politics, that is. I don't really get the same feeling from her. She's saying, oh, everyone should be listened to, but that's not really necessarily what he's saying. He's saying there is a set of universal ethical principles. And that if you're dealing in self interest, maybe shouldn't be listened to. This goes on to say that Gandhi rejected the modern notion of politics as a neutral, sorry, neutral secular domain divorced from morality. And he said that politics without moral or spiritual grounding is absolute dirt and meaningless. Uh, and he believed that righteous means should be used to achieve political goals. Um, Politics was a form of service. So there is a universal moral code for him that underlined all faiths, such as a belief in truth, justice, and an ordered moral government of the universe, and that must guide political action. I don't really see anything here about we all listen to each other. It seems like actually, if you're dealing from a power hungry position, he wasn't interested in what you had to say. So I can't agree with her reference to Gandhi here as being used in the correct context.
We expand the way we think. Einstein saying we will not solve the problems of the world from the level of thinking we were at when we created them. We were all together that night in a different kind of thinking. Love informed our thinking. Mutual honor and respect informed our thinking. Deep listening and non-judgment informed our thinking. And there is absolutely no doubt in my mind, and I don't.
I'm pretty sure there was still a lot of judgment happening. No one was just saying it out loud. That would be against human nature if you had a room full of people who meditated for 2 minutes and then had no judgment.
think there would have been any doubt in the minds of anyone in the room that night. Such creativity can come from that space. New ideas, new realms of problem solving. Something that perhaps we haven't seen yet, but that we will see once we get to that place, not just individually, but together.
So, yet again, there's a place that we need to achieve in society where we're not. Is this video 4 or 3? I've forgotten. And already we've now seen advocated a new society, brand new society. She's really in for, sorry, she's really into getting rid of our current society. That seems to be the only thing that I can get out of her. I'm not really sure what her theological stance is other than feel good stuff, but she really hates the society she lives in. Hmm.
My first question today is from Sandy. She says, what is one spiritual principle, individually and as a nation, we can draw from as we navigate these challenging times? Well, there are two spiritual principles that are very important to me as we navigate all this. First of all, there is a universal spiritual themes that love always wins. The idea is that, as Martin Luther King would say, as you work towards justice,
So she seems to love Gandhi and Martin Luther King. We've already now hit on them for a third time. And love. Love Martin Luther King, Gandhi. Let's see if she mentions Gandhi in
you
this.
have cosmic companionship, that there is an invisible force field that, whether you speak of it in secular or in religious and spiritual terms, it's like angels that have your back as you move in the direction of the good, the true, and the beautiful.
So I'm recalling now that she was really into A Course in Miracles. I said she was into the magic of the law of attraction, the magic of believing, and things like that, which I think she also gets into. But now I'm remembering she does have this large Christian component to her belief system. So A Course in Miracles, which I am not familiar with and I have never read. Maybe one of these days I should. Maybe that should be a reading project and we can discuss it here. So a lot of what she might be saying, I'm missing because it's coming out of A Course in Miracles. So my apologies. But that doesn't bode well for her if someone like me who's just off the street, figuratively, is listening to her. I've never read a book of miracles, and so I can't put everything in context, and I need to read that in order to put her in context. That doesn't really work well for the message she's relaying. Is she going to expect all the billions of people in the world to read the book of miracles to understand her? Sorry, A Course in Miracles to understand her? I'm reminded of a time I criticized in a video on a channel I don't have anymore, Adidas Samraj. He had a book detailing a new political world, and I said it doesn't make sense. And I had a comment coming back, well, you have to read all his other books and put it in context of his teaching. I'm like, no, I'm not going to read 30 books in order to understand this one, nor is anybody else in the world. That's like saying, in order to go into a museum and enjoy a picture, I have to read 30 books because you just can't get the Mona Lisa otherwise. There's a problem with that. It's not going to sell well, uh, and it's too much. work and your idea needs to be streamlined. So maybe she's stuck in that world. I don't know. But right off the bat, what I'm hearing is all sort of questioning. Or maybe I've stumbled upon her quoting things from A Course in Miracles and it is all questioning. I think I've just made up a new word.
In the Jewish religion, in the Talmud, there
Uh-oh.
is a,
I have a pause in the video. So we're actually going to start this over, see if we can.
she says, what is
Uh-oh. Little bit of a computer glitch. Let's take a look at this from a different. Sorry about this, folks. I haven't had this happen before. Wow. My whole video just froze. So, we're going to hit a commercial break. I'm going to come back in a minute and see what we can do. So, will you just hold with me for a minute while I fix this?
my first question today is from Sandy. She says, what is one spiritual principle, individually and as a nation, we can draw from as we navigate these challenging times? Well, there are two spiritual principles that are very
Well, seems we're up and playing here again. My apologies for that. Looks like everything's back in action. Sorry about that, folks.
very important to me as we navigate all this. First of all, there is a universal spiritual themes that love always wins. The idea is that, as Martin Luther King would say, as you work towards justice, you have cosmic companionship, that there is an invisible force field that, whether you speak of it in secular or in religious and spiritual terms, it's like angels that have your back as you move in the direction of the good, the true, and the beautiful. In the Jewish religion, in the Talmud, there is a saying that there is an angel bent over every blade of grass, whispering, "Grow, grow, grow." Um, the will of God has never not been done. That's the spiritual principle. Love will prevail. Now, the 3 days between the crucifixion and the resurrection, like the 40 years that the Israelites wandered in the desert, are symbolic representations of the time that it takes between the condition of injustice and lovelessness and the time in which love and justice once again prevail. And that's where free will.
Well, I'm not going to speak too much on Christian theology here because I'm not well versed in it enough, or Talmudic theology. Uh, but the 40 days is representative of injustice and love. Doesn't feel like something out of the Bible. Just
Will
gonna say
come
that.
in. What is already spiritually coded into the universe, according to spiritual tradition, is that we will get there. But what those 3 days and 40 years represent is the message that how long that will take and how much suffering will have to come first is completely up to us. There's a line in the Course in
So it's not up to God, it's up to us. So Job, his suffering was up to him.
Miracles that says, it is not up to you what you learn, it is merely up to you whether you learn through joy or through pain. And that takes us to the next spiritual principle, Sandy, and that has to do with the fact
Okay, so she has been cloning, it feels to me, from A Course in Miracles. We're hearing about love, we're hearing about good and bad, and the other videos we saw now make a little more sense. They seem to be drawing upon her background in A Course in Miracles. Um, on the own, as I already hinted at, without having that background, to me, all feels questionable. So I guess I better read this book now to understand it, or maybe I'll just find it questionable. Yeah, okay. Well, this is what I was looking for. I was looking for the theological side of
that
Marianne
we are on
Williamson.
this earth to love each other. We are on this earth to love one another.
That's why
We are
we're
on
here.
this earth, as it is said in the Jewish religion, tikkun olam, to repair the world. We need to evolve. We were talking earlier about how we need to evolve from an economic bottom line to a humanitarian bottom line. We need to evolve
Yet again, she wants to change society. Whoa, yet again. Societal change is what's needed. And it's not subtle, like we need this law, we need that. No, she wants a complete revolution.
from a species who sees its purpose as using the world to get whatever we want to a change of heart, which is reflected in public policies, which has to do with our realizing we are on this earth to heal the world.
So, what she wants, according to this video, is a new society based on God. So, she wants a religious society.
Think how that would change our attitudes towards global poverty. Think how that would change our attitude towards the fact that 12,000 children starve on this planet every day. Think about how this would change our attitude towards climate change and environmental degradation. Think how this would change our attitude towards peace creation. You know, COVID is a wake up call, and I believe that the Trump presidency has been a wake up call. But we have to ask ourselves, have we really woken up? Because the next wake up call could be even more harsh. And if, God forbid, the next wake up call is in the form of a nuclear disaster, then there's no guarantee that we will wake up at all. So each and every one of us has a part to play. This is a time for all of us to read better books. This is a time for all of us to think deeper thoughts. This is a time for all of us to put aside, to put away some of the we can now see to have been ultimately meaningless preoccupations which have dominated our lives. We have sort of farmed out deep thinking. When it has come to our democratic institutions. Oh, somebody's taking care of all that. Well, I think the Trump presidency has shown a lot of us. Really? You sure about that? Because what happened was that the American people took our eye off the ball. Far too many of the best and the brightest thinkers in the United States have been too disengaged from politics over the last few decades, or the problems that we have now could never have occurred. But we're waking up. It's the 11th hour, but it's
I would disagree with her on that point, and I am aware that the video didn't come through when I fixed this. So after we're done watching this, I'll reset it and see if we can get the video back. I just, yeah, I totally disagree with what she's just said. She's already blamed the past twice, though. Um, yeah, she's already blamed. I
when it's come to when it
She's blamed them twice already. So it's your fault that this situation, but I think the people she's blaming are the wrong people. Well,
not midnight yet. We just had one big win, I
uh,
believe, in the fact that Donald Trump was denied a second term. But that doesn't mean that we don't still have a lot to do in the
oh,
few minutes that are left before midnight. So we need to create a new America, and we need to begin with our own imagination.
yet again, creating a new America.
Everything that happens on the outside begins first on the inside. A new conversation that we're having with ourselves, a new conversation that we're having with each other. And I hope you feel that this podcast includes some of the most important conversations going forward.
So she wants a brand new world. That's what she wants. Wow. Um, wow. That's wow. That's basically her message going forward. We need a brand new world here. So let me tweak what's going on. I don't know why this has happened to my computer. Um, this is very interesting hearing from her. Uh, so she believes in A Course in Miracles, and she believes in creating a new America. And that seems to be the most firmly established thing in her bubble. So we have two more videos coming up. Let's see if they play correctly. My apologies for this. This is the first time I've had a breakdown. At least the sound is working uh, good, and you can at least hear it. I need to go into my program now and reset everything. Uh, there we go. Hmm, done. Okie dokie. Let's see. I hope this works now. If it doesn't, we're just going to do an audio only for the rest. I don't want to keep messing with this too much. So here we go.
Hey, I want to talk about spirituality and politics.
All right, I'm just going to pause the video here. Let me just see if I've gotten it together. Please bear with me. I am so sorry about this. Ah, yes, it works. Here we go.
And where we are now. Einstein said we would not solve the problems of the world from the level of thinking that we were at when we created them.
Einstein's now come up twice. It seems she has a small basket of people she refers to.
And that statement is not metaphorical, it's actually very practical. And so I want to talk about the kind of thinking, the psychology, the emotion that ties us to the problem, and the kind of thinking and the emotional constellation that is necessary in order for us to pave a way out of this disaster. If you look at all of this only on the level of tradition,
So we're in a disaster. We need to get out of it. And in order to do that, how? We have to completely change the way we think and the way society is essentially structured. We have to structure it differently. That is her message, folks. I think it's now loud and clear. Everything else you could probably put aside. Her message is the complete end of society as we know it and a worldwide revolution where we're all sort of being in the same bubble. Now, she says Trump's the problem. I don't know. I don't think so. She wants a complete revolution of society, probably of government, probably the end of democracy. And you call Trump the problem? Let's ponder that.
politics and political strategy that is the same template and paradigm we've been using, they checkmated us. Our democracy is in chains. I had a lot
Wrong.
to say for a long time about what we needed to do about that, but that was then, and this is
Let's see if she's learned the definition of democracy between these two videos.
now. And if we only address what's happening now on the level of traditional politics, they've got something sewn up here. But this is a challenge to us to embrace a whole other way of thinking in order to pave the way to the kind of solutions that we need. First of all, I want to talk about the fact that this is more than something just about American democracy.
So she said that they have it checkmated, but you notice she hasn't told us what's being checkmated. She hasn't specified a problem. In the previous video, she at least said that democracy has failed because there's poor people. Democracy has failed because a bunch of people have money in this capitalist society, and that's really bad. She's just assuming you have an answer and you're going to applaud her and you have the same answer as her. But this is a very deceptive thing she's saying because she's not giving you any details. And we don't really know where she's coming from. She's planning a revolution because of a checkmate for a situation we haven't been detailed. Yeah, again, you think Trump is scary? This woman is scary.
This is more than something about the geopolitics of the planet. This is about the world itself and the development of the species in a big way that has to do with our recognizing we have come to a place where the collective behavioral patterns of the species are malfunctional.
Ah, so she doesn't just want to change society, she wants to change how humans function, because we no longer function in the way she feels that we should function or in a way that we had functioned. Wow, there's so many ways to destroy this argument. So basically, she wants a complete revolution of everything. So she wants to change the way you think, and at the end of the day, we will then all think the same. She doesn't like diversity, because that's the outcome of all these centuries is diverse cultures, diverse approaches. So she wants to change humans on a base level. That's a very liberal proposition that we all become something we're not, that we all act alike. So I would have to ask though, she says that we have hit this impasse. Uh, please give me a year where we were functioning correctly. Please tell me at what point in history were all humans acting correct? And then please chart for me how they went in this wrong direction. Can you give me some years, some events? Was it before the American Civil War? Was it around the time of Napoleon? Was it when Socrates died? What happened? At which point did things go haywire? And what is the starting point so we know, oh, ancient Greek culture, they had it perfect. That was when humans acted perfectly. So we know we can go back to that point. This is like conservatives when they say the Constitution is destroyed. We have to get back to the point when it wasn't. Okay, please tell me the year in which it wasn't. I'll wait. There is no year. Or we have to get back to when culture was good. And people say that one a lot. And then they're like, well, in the 1950s, yes. So you want to get back to when black people had no rights and when there was no domestic assault laws and you could beat up a woman or you could have a drunk driving accident and just keep going. You want to get back to that time, right? You want to get back to a world where conformity was really big and you're a Catholic moving in the community and that's not good. You want to get back to that? It wasn't a perfect time. I love the 50s. It had its problems. There is no perfect time. This is a fallacy of history, but she doesn't know history. And this argument of, well, we've gone from here to there isn't really a true argument. I sometimes think it comes out of Marx, but even he didn't paint a direct line. He said society moves back and forth and goes here, and then it corrects itself and it goes here. But she wants to take us back to a point where we were functioning or just fix us so we function correctly. That's very scary to me because I think we actually are functioning correctly. Some countries do it better than other countries. Some countries can teach us things and other countries can lead things and other countries aren't doing it very well. But that's how humans have developed. And that's a good thing, really.
We've moved from dysfunctional to malfunctional. We are at a point which species get to
No, they don't.
where we will either
Name a species that got to this point. Name one.
evolve or we will go extinct. So those are only two choices here.
This woman's off her rocker.
And species that evolve.
I see. So the dinosaurs went extinct because of they went against their human nature or they went against their dinosaur nature. Name species that went extinct based on what you just said. Your hypothesis is based on human nature, but now you're connecting it with animals with a completely different set of living things. Whales didn't go extinct because they went against their whale nature and their development went dysfunctional. This woman she's off her rocker.
Evolve because there's some introduction of a mutation and the behavior of the species begins to move in another direction.
Yeah, just name a species. Name a species and tell me the introduction of this malfunction and tell me how it happened. She doesn't understand. I don't understand biology, but I know enough to not make such a strange premise.
The malfunctionality of our species has had to do with a dissociation from any sense of natural order, any sense of reverence, any sense of love as bottom line.
So dinosaurs went extinct because they were disconnected from the natural order and love. Whales have gone extinct because of disassociation due to a introduction into their development, and that took them away from love. I can't draw this parallel. And we're going extinct because we're not connected to love. But we're not going extinct. Humans now number more on this planet than at any other point in history that we are aware of. That's not a sign of it going extinct in the next 100 years. Quite the opposite. That shows that we're still very lively. Now, she may have issues with the way society is developing, but she's so off on some weird tangent that to recover, and it is hopeless. Wow, this woman is no wonder when she came to town here in Portland, the place she gave a talk to was a yoga studio, and it wasn't a very big one.
For ourselves, for the planet, and for each other. And we've developed not only political systems and political ways of being, but also, and particularly actually, economic systems so dissociated from compassion and harmony and natural order of things, completely without any sense of true vision.
Remember the Natural Law Party? That was based on everything she said, that it was based on some um, thing some love factor. That party died. Um, I think the Green Party was also based on some love factor for the planet. Adi Da has proposed something. Sri Dharma Pravataka Acharya has proposed a Vedic form. Yeah, these things don't really pan out.
Where there is no vision, the people perish. That's why. So this is about our willingness to be part of a collective leap forward. And by the way, when
Collective. She wants us all on the same page, people. No diversity allowed.
species do evolve in another direction, it
What
doesn't take a
species?
majority, it takes that critical mass, that 100th monkey, and each and every one of us are called by this moment, should
So
we choose, to be part of this collective evolutionary shift. If all we do is try to fix things on the level of the material, as important as those things are, I mean, we can talk about what's happening. 10,000 people let off at Health and Human Services today. We could talk about Signalgate. We could talk about this horrifying rampage, ketamine-fueled rampage of Elon Musk. We could talk about Curtis Yarvin and the Dark Enlightenment. We could talk about a post-constitutional era, which these people clearly have planned. All that, I'm not minimizing any of that.
just, she is literally, oh my God. She's talking about people are planning a post-constitutional era, but yet wants a complete revolution of society and human nature where we're going to be basing it on love. She has never once talked about basing it on the Constitution. So who is the one advocating for a post-constitution era? Her. Ketamine fueled rant. This woman is an ignorant fueled rant. Wow. Wow.
You can read about that in a lot of places.
No reason to,
What I'm
folks.
talking about is the people that we need to be in order to meet this moment. Because if all we are is responding to the material
You know, her basic ideas are good. We shouldn't be material. We should be growing and developing as people. But she's taking it to the next level where we should have a complete revolution. She's like Trotsky now.
conditions, number one, you're either ultimately powerless before a lot of it, because they do have the House and the Senate and the White House, or, and I think that this is a big, big deal, probably for you, I know it's been for me, it's so easy to spiral down. I mean, it's so easy to just go into panic and grief that's
No, it's not. If you're a mentally healthy and stable person, it's not going to cause you to spiral down. You have a life, you have hobbies, you have interests, you have things you want to do. People who are spiraling down and getting into depression, you need help. It's Yes, there's things which are depressed, but if you're going around depressed every day, there's something that you need. You're trapped in also a bubble that's making you depressed. And I have called this out before, where liberals live in a bubble that makes them depressed because a depressed person is more malleable. And then they start believing crazy ideas.
Paralyzing. So that's what I want to talk to you about. What is the shift?
Oh,
What is the portal? What is the evolutionary uh, alternative? What is the key to our being who we need to be in order to discern what we need to do and to be able to execute what we need to do? And that has to do not with thinking we will rise from this. It has to do with rising right now. There's a power in the universe. So now some of you might be going, oh, she's so woo-woo. But for those of you who have been humbled a little by recent circumstances, there is a power in the universe more powerful than Elon Musk. There is a power in the universe more powerful than Donald Trump. There is a power in the universe more powerful.
Yet all of her videos have been advocating for overthrowing and haven't been talking about any power in the universe. God doesn't really come into her game plan to overthrow humanity.
Than any form of injustice.
Nor, I should say, does she seem to trust God. It's all about something else. You need to develop this thing and we need to rise up right now, she said. This really has nothing to do with God.
Justice, any form of oppression, any form of domination. It is, you can call it God, you can call it love, you can call it source, you can call it nature. It has no ego by which to care what you call it.
It doesn't care what you think either, on
But
some
it
level, you might
is,
say.
it is unalterable. And it is so not only unimpressed, unaltered by the workings of unloving people. The problem we have living on this earth is that we are trained to mentally attach ourselves to what's happening on the material planes to such an extent that when the material planes aren't going well, we're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
That's essentially the gist of all of her talks is things aren't going well in the material world, and so she's advocating a complete overthrow of a material world, the government and society as we know it, and human nature. She literally is calling herself out. She's literally calling herself out. This is the second time in this video she's called herself out and didn't realize it.
We all have those moments right now, and that's okay. I'm not saying I don't either. But the key is to say, it's almost like when you have like an old-fashioned radio and you've got a dial, you've got to move to another channel. Move into the channel
We
where
we still have radios where you have to move to those if you're in your car. They may not have the dial, but you hit the button, it still moves forward. Has she not been in a car? Has she not actually seen a radio? In a
the recalibration is occurring even now, by which the ultimate correction will occur automatically, like a GPS. We took a wrong turn. We took a really
when? When Trump got voted in? Is that when the entire human nature went off? Oh my God. Tell me yet again, when did we make this turn? And what year was life happening when everything was perfect? Maybe 1945 was when that was everything was perfect? 1835? 1650? When was everything perfect? And what happened? Please specify that. Oh, when Trump was elected? If that's her thought, she's insane. And now she's telling us God is going to fix things, or we're going to fix things, and everything's going to be changed in some end times like scenario. The one thing she's not doing is putting a date on it. Well, it'll be changed by 2030. She's holding off just enough to not sound completely crazy. But don't worry, God is going to fix this because we took a wrong turn. God's in control. He's going to fix all of this. It's happening now, but he didn't see it coming. The first time he didn't realize that we were going to take the wrong turn, just like all the other species have, because God knows there'd be dinosaurs if only they had been not given the wrong turn. Or maybe there's other human species, is what she's saying. There's multiple humans that were on Earth and none of them survived because they weren't in love. Oh my God, this woman doesn't yet know. And the fact is, people actually follow her.
Wrong turn. But the GPS just recalibrates. That has to do as much with our own personal changes as much as it has to do with external changes. The external changes, it's almost like there's an architecture for it. But we have to be willing to be the conduits, the builders, and so forth. Dalai Lama said, you have to have a plan if you want to save the world, but no plan will work unless you meditate. Whether you think about this in terms of meditation, prayer, yoga, reflection, or just personal growth work. It has to do with our facing our own character defects. It has to do with our willingness to forgive. It has to do with our willingness to take responsibility for our own issues. It has to do with our being kinder to one another. It has to do with our withholding judgment. It has to do with our withholding blame. It has to do with our taking responsibility. It has to do with showing up. And not just for this political moment, but in our lives. Because we are ragged. We are made ragged by what's going on. Our nervous systems are made ragged. And it's not going to get better for a while. On the material plane, things could very possibly get quite a bit worse. We have to shore up our own nervous system. We have to shore up our own alignment with the resurrection, not just the crucifixion, the deliverance of the promised land, not just the slavery in Egypt. We have to build within ourselves and fortify within ourselves a capacity to be strong and wise and loving and hopeful. Hope is a moral imperative at a time like this. That these people are not going to ultimately succeed. They are just not going to.
People. You mean people like her that want a complete revolution of all society and human nature? You mean they're not going to succeed, so she's not going to succeed? What people? She's really detached from reality and history and politics. What she just said, though, following that Dalai Lama quote, was all legitimate, but it's all been sort of washed away by her conspiracy thinking and end times thinking and fear. And also we have to fortify ourselves, but didn't she already say that this spiritual entity, you can call it God, love, or whatever, is already doing it for us? So I'm very confused.
We will not stand for that. It will not happen on our watch. And these people, look what they did. I mean, look, I am not someone who in any way minimizes the severity of the problem on an external level.
Just
But
doesn't understand the problem.
there's a universal power greater. There is no order of difficulty in miracles. A power to which, get off my shoulder, you little piece of lint. Align with that. He has money. You have within you a power in you, but not of you, greater than all the powers of the world. I share that thought with you because an idea grows stronger when it is shared. We all fall sometimes, and we need somebody to join with us in the thought. All of us together, that stuff will not stand. It just won't stand. It will not stand. If we decide, it will not stand. But if all we're doing is thinking our power alone will make sure that it doesn't stand, it's going to be a really, really tough time. It's something bigger. However you refer to it, however you think of it. And that great work goes on. The great work of the ages will go on. The sun is continuing to rise. The sun is continuing to set. Align yourself with those things which do not change. And
Align
make
yourself with
really
the
clear
sun.
in your own heart. That, by whatever name you call it,
So she wants you to align with things that don't change, like the setting sun, while having previously advocated for the complete overthrow of human nature, which actually hasn't really changed that much either. So you're not to align yourself with everything that is timeless, just certain things, right? Is that?
He's more powerful than Elon Musk, more powerful
Oh,
than
Lordy.
any powers of the world. Align with that in your own heart, in whatever way is true for you, and then let's get going. We have a lot to do. We'll all be told, we will be shown. Yeah, I'm going to be out there on April 11th, no, April 5th, right? Whatever the specifics are that you are guided to. But the rising up within ourselves. Be happy. Be happy despite. I'm not saying we got this. Something bigger. Your faith in that? Faith is not blind. Faith is visionary. And faith is also an aspect of consciousness. The issue is stop having so much faith in what the tech bro neo-fascists are doing. Have more faith in the response. And that's going to come from us. Bye.
Feel good buzzwords. So many feel good buzzwords.
Welcome to Commune. We are on a mission to inspire, heal, pass down wisdom, and
Doesn't claim
the world.
have
Yeah,
any
we're going to
kind of
skip the
monopoly
intro.
on truth. Truth with a capital T is one, and it is spoken in many different ways, many different spiritual, religious, and psychotherapeutic systems of expression. A Course in Miracles is not a religion. It does use traditional Christian terms, but in very non-traditional psychotherapeutic ways.
No, stop. Just stop. Don't make a fool of yourself. This is our final video, and I don't know if I could sit here for 25 minutes when you've come out the door saying, A Course in Miracles is not a religion. Okay, if there is any minister out there or any building that doesn't pay taxes because it's qualified as a religion under the IRS code, then you are a religion. I dumped on this in an earlier video. If you're not a religion, then give back your money or go to court because you're guilty of fraud for all the tax money you haven't been paying. Course in Miracles maybe it's a self-help, maybe it's not an organized religion. But here's the funny thing. In Hinduism, they say it's not a religion, it's a way of life. Muslims say that Islam is not a religion, it's a way of life. I've actually rarely met anyone who's ever said they follow a religion, they follow something else. This is such an illogical cop-out. I can't stand this. Basically, religion is bad. I'm not one of those, but you are. You are. This woman is full of buzzwords and emptiness and whatever.
So when I use these terms, it's not because I think the Course in Miracles has any monopoly on truth or anything like that. But I know if you are a Buddhist, you don't serve someone else when you're talking about it to water down those concepts. Other people can translate for themselves. And that's how I feel here. So there's nothing about my terms that I think are more correct than any other terms. But hopefully by using the terms in the Course in Miracles within a coherent system, they will be more easily understandable. Regardless what your spiritual path is, whether you are a Jew studying Kabbalah, or you're a Christian, or you're a Course in Miracles student, or you are a Hindu, or you are Muslim, or you are whatever you happen to be. Walk your path. There's too much spiritual dilettantism in the world today, particularly among so-called spiritual teachers. This kind of, I know a platitude here, I know a platitude there, I have.
So don't be like her and her approach to politics, basically. I feel like there's a difference between the couple younger videos I saw of her and the more recent ones. Like she's changed. Maybe. I maybe should see more in order to bring that judgment to the table, but it just feels like she may have changed.
A meme on my computer here, I have a meme on my computer there. But when you don't really know an entire system, don't call yourself a teacher because you're not. You don't have the.
She's right about that. Too many teachers are just meme teachers.
ethical or the moral right,
She's
I
right.
don't think, to call yourself a spiritual teacher if you yourself not only are not a seeker and a student, but also, for instance, in the case of A Course in Miracles, the Course in Miracles says no one can call themselves a teacher who has not completed that workbook. You can't just, pick up a couple seminars or listen to anybody, including myself,
So you just need to do a book and then you're a teacher.
and say, okay, I know how to do that now. So whatever your serious spiritual source material is, you must really be a student of this. Because if you're not, you're dealing on a kind of superficial level. And you have a tremendous
Hmm.
ethical responsibility when you are holding in your hand someone's psychic outlook. So my first book was called A Return to Love, Reflections on the Principles of A Course in Miracles. And I sometimes jokingly refer to it as the Cliff Notes of A Course in Miracles. So this is the Course in Miracles basics. And once again, this is just one statement of universal truth, no better, no worse than any other, and not a substitute for your doing your own spiritual path, whether it's A Course in Miracles or any other. So
So this is the problem with her universalism approach. So my statement isn't any better or worse or true. Any statement then is equal. All statements are equal, all the same. So, if I say in my religion it's okay to kill Jews and kill homosexuals, that's okay because all things are equal. Is that okay? Well, according to some people, yeah. This universalism thing is not something I support. It's not a belief that I hold. I think it runs into a philosophical mm, pit of mud. Um, and people quickly start going, no, no, that's not what I mean by it. Well, if all statements are the same, yeah, I can say in my religion killing Jews is bad. You could say in yours that it's good, and well, it's the same. How can you judge me? People don't do that. They start going, oh, yes, well, but. And then they have all these buts, and then the statement doesn't mean anything. And they haven't thought about that beforehand because it feels good to be all universalist, but very few people truly are. And I don't hold to that position because I just know me and I'm not going to waste my time pretending. But basically, she said anything is good, anything, it doesn't matter what you do is her thing. So why do I care what she has to say then? If anything I believe is legitimate, why do I really care about her point of view? That's the universal conundrum.
in the introduction to the Course, it says that the Course can be summed up very simply in this way. Nothing real can be threatened, and nothing unreal exists. Herein lies the peace of God. That's it in a nutshell. That the mind of God is the mind of love. We are ideas in the mind of God, and God is the ultimate reality with a capital R. When we are thinking with God means we are thinking with love, we are literally co-creating with God. And all of our co-creations with God are real with a capital R. Okay. When we are not thinking with God, i.e. not thinking with love, because God is all that is. God is all that is. And as the Course in Miracles says, what is all-encompassing can have no opposite. So when I'm not thinking with love, the Course says, I am actually not thinking at all. Everything that is not love is a hallucination. It is a mortal illusion. Notice that Buddha used the term illusion, and Course in Miracles uses the word illusion.
So she just said there's nothing unreal, but now she's saying that if we don't think with God, there is actually things that are unreal and those are illusions. But if everything is real and there is no unreal, then illusions are real. Did I get that right? I don't know. Maybe I should just not care what she's saying about in A Course in Miracles. Yeah, that's the
As
approach I'm
well.
going to take.
So something might be real within the three dimensions. Your eyes can see it, your hands can touch it, your ears can hear it. But if it is a manifestation deriving from lovelessness, it is happening within this three dimensions, but the three dimensions themselves are a mortal hallucination. So it is reality, but it is what A Course in Miracles would refer to as reality with a little r, whereas only the creations of love are reality with a big R. Think of your mind as a computer. In every moment, it's like you touch a key. So every moment, every thought we think, the Course in Miracles says, creates form on some level. Thought is cause, form is effect. Every thought we are choosing, with every thought we are choosing, every moment we're either choosing consciously or we're choosing unconsciously. A thought of love or a thought of lovelessness, which is fear. But whatever our choice will be reflected back to us in physicality, in the realm of form. Now, to say that
So if you're not doing things right, the outcome is fear. Am I getting this right? Because you're not choosing love. In the previous video, all I heard was someone spouting stuff from a place of fear and wanting to redo humans out of fear. But yet that's not reality because it's not done with God. So did she just debunk everything she believes now? Is everything she's now spouting on not with God because it's out of fear and not in love? Or does she really believe rewriting human nature is love because we're broken and she fears that we only have 100 years left? But that's an illusion. It's not real. So she doesn't believe in real things anymore. She no longer follows her own teachings. Did Trump break her brain?
something is an illusion, this is very significant from a teaching perspective. To say that something is an illusion does not mean that we ignore it. That's not transcendence, that's denial. There's negative denial and positive denial. The Course in Miracles talks about positive denial, where you look at something, but knowing that it's an illusion, knowing that it's not love, you deny its power over you.
Okay. According to her, we only have a century left because of the power of these people. So she's spouting something she doesn't seem to believe anymore. I have made a decision. This video is 25 minutes long. As you see, if you're watching this, we've done 5 minutes. So I'm finding myself in this really weird place because I'm responding to A Course in Miracles. And one thing I've tried not to do in this Fake Gurus Exposed series is delve into the Christian world. I said this at the beginning. And now we're getting into the fringe element of the um, Christian world, which I know nothing about. So I feel like um, if I continue on this, I'm going to be saying things that are maybe out of context, maybe based on a book I haven't read, getting into all sorts of things. And I really don't want to do that. I want to have some limits to my criticism. And I'm now running in this position where I feel like she's contradicting herself. And this is just feeling really weird and uncomfortable for me. So I am going to pause this video and not watch the rest of it, which I've never done before. But I really don't want to sit here and listen about A Course in Miracles stuff. It just doesn't interest me, and I'm not interested in it. There's other things I like. Mormonism I find fascinating, Christian Science I find fascinating, but Course in Miracles just doesn't seem to do it for me. And I'm feeling like I can't respond, and I just really don't want to sit here for another 20 minutes listening to her. When she just seems to be countering her current state, and I just don't understand the philosophy, and it doesn't make sense to me, and I seem to have some theological issues with it. So we're going to draw this show to a close now. Uh, my apologies if you'd like to see this video, but I just feel uncomfortable going into this. I just can't do it. It's sort of breaking the limits of things. So we're going to draw a close here. Uh, I don't know what to say other than, yeah, I'm so glad she didn't become the president. Uh, and she wants a religious authoritarian nanny state. basically. Maybe not authoritarian, but it will end up that way. And she wants a complete destruction of society and human nature and to do something else that really doesn't have anything to do with God, but you're to believe in God. And all poor people are going to be rich and rich people are going to be punished. And democracy is failing because there's poor people. And I really think she's all over the place. I think she's actually somewhat typical of a left wing New Ager all over the place. She complained in this little short video here about meme religious teachers, but she sort of feels like to me someone who is doing the exact same thing. An idea here, idea here, idea here. And maybe I'm wrong about this, but it just feels a little bit all over the place with mix and match. Doesn't help that she kept quoting Gandhi as her outstanding citizen, which means she doesn't really quite understand Gandhi. She understands him in the American Western way, which I don't think is correct. And yeah, I just am really, yeah, I don't know what to say other than I'm disappointed. I thought this was going to be different. I had in my head that she was a little bit more on together. Sorry, she was a little bit more put together spiritually. Politically, she was off. But from what I'm getting, she's got TDS. She's stuck in Trump derangement syndrome and wants what she advocates against. And I'm very disappointed. I cannot put her in the same category as gurus I've listened to on this channel who I actually was really impressed by, like Mother Mira, really impressed me. Santosha Tantra out California, amazing teacher. Marianne Williamson is in a bit of a bubble. And yeah, wow, I'm a little speechless. And so I think it's time to end this show. I think I'm going to go to the gym now. I'm going to get lunch and then go to the gym. And I'm going to thank you for hanging out with me today. I'm going to thank you for sitting with me and being a part of today's show. Hope you found this interesting. We'll do another guru show a couple months from now, I'm sure. Don't know who. I never really do, but I do have a list of folks that I get to. And I do apologize if I've misinterpreted her or I've taken things out of context. But as I said earlier, when you're doing these little videos, people will misinterpret you and they will take you out of context. So you have to make sure you're clear about what you're saying if you don't want that to happen. And yeah, so if I have done it, well, then that says something about the way she relays information. Okay, this is the end. I will not be doing an additional video on her. I feel like I've kind of got enough of her to kind of just question her overall. Um, and sometimes I do multiple videos on somebody, but in this case, I'm feeling okay with this. And we're going to move on and call this very educational. Feel free to put your opinion in the comments below on whatever forum you're watching this on. I also have some merch, some t-shirts, and some stickers are now available. Of some phrases that I say, you'll see of some phrases that I say frequently, and you'll see those pop up under the YouTube. Check those out. And with that, I'm going to thank you for hanging out with me. And yeah, yeah, just yeah, that's all.